Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Southdown Garage. My name is Kurt, and today we're working on my buddy's Passat to do the timing belt on it. So we've got the engine out of the car, which you don't need to do, but we also are doing a rear main seal, which is a little bit more challenging. And because we're doing the timing belt, I've already put the rear main in, which was fun because apparently there's a tool that you can use. Or what we're going to do is we're going to use bolts and big washers and we're going to press it in. So first thing to do on doing the timing system, we're going to take this belt off, take this bracket off, and start taking all these covers off, and basically see where we're at when it comes to this engine. And we want to get it to top dead center. We're using tools, but you can use drill bits instead to line up the gears and to do all this stuff. But that's not what we're doing. So perhaps you're thinking, Kurt, this engine doesn't need to come out to do your timing set. And what I'm going to say to you is, at 200 kilometers, whatever that is in miles, I think it's 160 or 140,000, you have a vehicle that has a bit of time on it. And as you can see, like this one, there's lots of oil everywhere. So if you're not going to take yours out and reseal it, you're just going to end up with leaks down the road. It does take longer, and you can do it faster by not taking this step, but this is what we're going to do. Everyone is entitled to do it their way. This makes it easy to show you guys how easy it is to do this timing stuff. And it's not as bad as it feels like. So with a 16 millimeter socket, we're going to remove the 3 bolts that hold this engine mount on to the engine. That's it. Ooh, I'm going to have to throw that in the parts washer. When this thing goes back together, I want it to be all nice for my buddy, because you know what? He's had nothing but issues with this car, so we want to make sure that the next 15,000 miles to 100,000 miles are fairly painless. At the end of the day, nobody likes being that person. Oh yeah, it's a little bit worn. So this is unlike the other Passats I've seen videos on. So these do have marks on them. So with a 16 mil wrench, we're just going to take this tensioner, loosen that tensioner off, get that belt off. This is a square D 10 mil socket. So we're going to go ahead and get these 4 bolts off. And this comes off relatively easy. It just pops off there. And then we're gonna finish taking these off. We're gonna grab some Torx. So this is a T30 Torx bit to get these cover bolts off. There's a fair bit of dirt and grime and stuff like that behind here, so we are gonna go a little bit further. Most videos show just changing this out and not touching the rear main or anything else. So we're going to go a little bit further than that, and we're going to get everything to top dead center. So obviously we're not at top dead center here. We have to turn all of our gears to get that there. So let's start with 19 mil. So this is all lined up now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my alignment tool so I can slide one in here, slide one in here, and then we're good to go. Start and then slide the other piece in here, and then we're going to lock everything in place. We can take all this stuff off. And then the next one, we are going to have to take this nut off here to slide this gear off so that we can take this cover off and replace the seal that's in behind. You're doing all this work anyways. Don't leave seals like that in your engine that are going to be dry like you can see here, there's oil leaking around the back of this seal. So even taking this off and redoing that seal is gonna make a world of difference. This is all together here. You can see there's an indent right at the bottom. That's how you know it's lined up. And it's in the top section here. Now we can take the tension off here, but we'll first remove this idler. Then we can back this off with this Allen head, and we can finally start pulling this belt off. Then I can deal with the front seal before putting all this stuff back together with a new water pump and everything else. So 8mm D shape for these bolts. You can grab all these tools from ID Parts. That's who I got all my stuff from. Now that these are loose, so before we go and put everything back together, we want to make sure that this is centered rather than off considerably the way it is now. And then we want to torque everything back up correctly. And that's definitely where the tool is going to come in handy. All right, so we have a 13mm for these two. We have a 15mm for that one. See if I can use this socket. I've seen everybody else using, oh yeah. I'm just gonna use a ratchet for this one. We're gonna break this loose, 6mm socket, and we're gonna hit this thing. You don't have to use this, it's just nice to, I hate the leverage behind. Here, let's take these ones off first. I'm gonna take this whole, there we go, that's gonna loosen that top part up. Okay, so now that that's loose, we can back this off. So there we go. Perfect. pump box is going to help the water pump come off. These are 10s, aren't they? You get all new hardware in the kit with these as well. Roll them away. Dribble, dribble, dribble. There we go. That's crusty, eh? Holy smoker, arsehole's that, man. And this new water pump that we're going in here is going to be a metal one, so it won't have this garbage anymore. So we'll let that drain and we'll come back and put the new water pump in. This is metal blade, whereas the other one used to be plastic. And all we're going to do is we're just going to put some coolant on this gasket. Actually, I should probably clean inside of here. That was pretty nasty. We're just going to line up this like that, and we can put the new bolts that come in the kit in. We'll tighten it in slowly. So that's torqued. What you usually do to make it easier for you to get out is you just throw your nuts on like so, and then you crank them up together, and then back it off. We'll try that. So what you're supposed to do, that's right, you're supposed to take it from the inside out. That's how you back it out nicely. And we'll slot in the new post. Thread that in. Alright, so that's in. Make sure this part lines up in here. So when this goes on, this little piece sits right in there. So we slide that on and we make sure it goes right in that little hole there, and then we can tighten this up. Put the new nut on it. Very good. And then we can set that into place.
Really starting to piss me off, lady.
We've got everything lined up. Let's put the belt on, because this gear will not move. Right. I've got to turn that. Give me more room. We can put this last pulley in. So if you're wondering, you need to line this up because you don't have the tool. You want this hole mark sort of just off to the left slightly. This is if you're at top dead center. You want it to line up with this hole here and just off the mark a little bit. That is, of course, if you haven't already marked these before taking this apart. Oh dear. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use these bolts here. I'm gonna throw another one in here and we're gonna slide it in just so it sits past the sealing surface. I believe about 5 mil. All right, so it's in. We've got all the bolts down. They're tight. Ring is tight against here, fairly flush. If you have the special tool from Volkswagen, I believe you can get it in a little bit further. But if there's any slack here or a little bit of a raise, I believe once you put the flywheel on, it should press it the rest of the way if needed. The big key though is that we've lined up this properly. If you don't line up this properly, then it won't run right, and that's a big concern. So if you're going to do this job, make sure you do your research beforehand. Then that way you don't have to go and put the engine at top dead center on the other side like I did. It's at top dead center. All your marks are in. And that's how you know if it's timed. You can actually put this, figure out where this mark is as well. It lines up with basically here on your crankshaft to the crank seal. But I wouldn't just use that as a reference. Back to my house, we had a little bit of an issue. We made it to the dyno, didn't make it on the dyno. Back out of my driveway, first second, man, this thing is building boost, and